All right. Hey, everybody. What's going on? This is Mike.
And this is Rob.
Holy shit, Rob. We're podcasting.
Oh, my God.
This is crazy. It has been, I was going to look it up, but I never got to it. I think it's been at least 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
At least 2 months. So, so basically 2 months ago, I had to go back to my job. And, I've said it before, I work for Michigan Dining. And so there's just so much work to get going. I was working, the first month and a half or so was just working a lot to get helping this whole beast get going. And so finally, my schedule's settled and our schedules align on this one day that we can actually record again. So that's kind of, that's the whole story, really. It's not that interesting. That's the only reason we haven't podcasted in 2 months is because I don't think this is like literally the first time we've had our schedules been able to even match.
Yeah.
So, but here we are.
We're here.
So, what's happened in the last 2 months? Whatever. Nothing. I've had my annual surgery. So my fall medical event has already come and gone. You missed that in the last 2 months.
That's good.
Yeah. This one was a very simple surgery, so we're all good. So I've gotten that out of the way.
Nice.
How are things in your world, man?
They're a hair hectic. My brother and sister-in-law and their 2 children have been living with us for about a month. They're moving into our town, and they're buying a house, and they actually are closing today. So they should be in by sometime next week. But throughout the process, it's been kind of complicated because they had to start work, and so they've been living with us. And that's been awesome because it's really great to have them here and to have their kids here playing with my son. And it's also just everything's kind of thrown out of whack. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. It's very generous, though, to open up your house like that. So,
It's family, man.
Oh, yeah. So I understand the chaos. My wife's a teacher, and she's a special ed teacher. And so her trying to navigate figuring out how to teach online. And my son's a sophomore in high school. And, I think deep down he'd just prefer to be at school. So, yeah, it's been a little chaos around here.
Yeah.
So, but I don't I don't think that's any different than everybody's lives right now. Yeah. So, but yeah.
To add to it, school started. So all 3 kids are in school.
Oh, wow.
They all 3 had their first day at a new school in the same day. And my brother-in-law is teaching high school in this town, and he started his school on the same first day. Wow. So it was, they're all trying to get used to the same stuff. And
are you guys remote? Are they remote or
in person?
Yeah.
My brother-in-law is teaching both in person and remote.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, Ann Arbor right now is all remote. I think at some point that will change. So, which I think is even more stressful. Like they should, commit to one way for the whole semester because, right now it's up in the air. Like imagine I'm sure you would have, if you've had to do your work remotely is just getting the entire thing off the ground, building an office in the house for my wife and putting up a whiteboard and getting all the technology all set just to be able to do that is insane.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah, I feel for the parents that have to go through it as well. I mean, just take one scroll through Facebook of people that have kids doing remote school. So your son goes to school in person every day?
Every day.
And he's in first grade now or second?
He's in first grade.
First grade. How's that going for him?
He loves it.
It's good. They have to wear masks all day?
Yep. Well, no, they don't have to wear masks while they're at their seats because they've got like plexiglass partitions between the desks. So they like quad it up and then they're divided into 4.
But if they're out in the halls or at lunch or whatever.
Recess.
Excellent. So, okay. So now it's been a while since we podcast, obviously. And something, you sent me a text. I wanted to talk to you about this, and we didn't really talk about it much further. I'm going to see if I can scroll back through my messages here real quick,
Okay.
just to see if I can find the text from you.
Okay.
You're talking about the new Taylor Swift album, and basically here's what you said is basically the album should be the album of the year, and the song with Bon Iver, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah. Justin.
Should be this pop song of the decade.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't agree with that at all.
Well, it's okay, Mike. You're allowed to be wrong. Sometimes it's fine.
So I'm curious why you think that this album is so spectacular.
So I'm curious as to why you don't think this album is spectacular. It's amazing, and so. First of all, the production is incredible. They got the guy who produces The National to produce, and you can really taste the sugar in the Kool-Aid, so to speak. It's a lot of big crescendos, a lot of instrumental strength that plays into the songwriting. It's just really well put together. And then if you look at this compared to the album that Taylor released 9 months before, 9 months, it's vastly different in style.
Yes.
Meaning she decided to just do something totally different after she made an album that was critically acclaimed. She made another album that is vastly different and also amazing. The tone is perfect. Given the day and age and the current coronavirus, I think that she managed to hit on just the right sound for what's currently going on in the world. I think I think the writing is spectacular. Okay, let's not say spectacular. Let's say it's.
You want to hold on to your opinion as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's just a fantastic album. It's well written, well put together. It serves as just a placeholder for COVID, as it's sonically what is going on right now in the world.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So have you listened much to Casey Musgraves at all?
A
little bit. So here's what the album felt like to me. It felt like I listened to it first, and then like first listened through, maybe in the second one, I'm like, oh, this is an interesting sound. I like the sound.
Mm-hmm.
But then I start listening to the lyrics of this album.
Yeah.
And it was just like, really? I don't know. It felt like, and then here's the other thing, is like, in the end, it felt like to me an album that like, well, I'll back up. Casey Musgrave's last album, Golden Hour in 2018, is an amazing album. And that would be one of the best albums of all time, I think. Not of all time, but one of my current
Rolling Stones albums, like top albums of the century or whatever. Yeah.
Right. It's pretty freaking incredible. And so, and so maybe this is my own bias, but like I listened to it and it's almost like almost like Taylor Swift was like, oh, there was somebody that started country and moved into pop and influenced them together. And I'm going to try to do the same thing by going back to my more country folk roots and try to make that kind of album. And it just kind of fell flat to me.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I think there's such a vast difference between this and her roots that it's
right. Yeah.
Folksy independent music versus her original albums, which are super country pop, like uber pop.
Yeah, but I don't know. But it's definitely a move away from, her last two albums, she's just like a pop star, right? I mean, which is fine, but this sort of is a complete.
Last 3 albums.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not all up that much on her
I wasn't particularly either. I just happened to know that.
Um,
I'm not a Taylor Swift fanboy. Like I don't really like any of her other albums all that much.
So then what is it about this one that strikes you?
The production, I just think it's a solid album.
What do you mean by production?
The musical production, the tone that's set throughout, the consistency, musically, it's fantastic.
And you think it's that way lyrically too?
I think this is the third time you've asked me this. You're clearly setting me up for something.
No, I'm not necessarily. Look, it comes across to me like I'm not trying to diss her at all. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want, but it sounds like she comes across to me in this album as somebody who hasn't, because of her fame from such a young age, hasn't really been able to experience anything relatable to a normal person. And she's stretching really, really hard to be relatable on this album, and it comes across as goofy to me.
I can see that. I see where you're coming from there. Keep in mind that she's never had a normal life, and you expect sure, she's not quite as self-aware as some other people who write songs, right? Because she writes very much about how she's always jilted and always she's always the winner in these love competitions or whatever. And sure, I see where you're coming from.
Yes.
That's just who she is. But outside of that, I mean, it can be relatable if you can put yourself into her position a little bit more.
Well, but if I put myself in her position, I'd be like, I'm a fucking millionaire. This is sweet.
So maybe she found a way to find something that wasn't so sweet about being rich and famous and hot.
Okay. I know, I understand. So, but
when she's singing about the things that happen with boys, sometimes it gets a little weird. But that doesn't mean that you can't put together a good breakup song that sounds fantastic. Okay. Where she's talking about running into her ex at a bar and talking about the way he's looking at the new dude she's with. I think some of that is relatable.
Yeah, okay. So maybe the mood of the album, like musically it sounds great, and it's like it is very folksy and a very stripped down kind of thing.
Yeah.
So to me, an album like that, like the lyrics would be everything, right? Because that's how I would. In other words, I can find other things in a pop album or a Miley Cyrus song that it seems to me a folk album. It like lyrically should be. This album seems like it should start. Lyrically should be the center of this album, and then the music comes across. Versus, I want to make a fun, shake your ass type of album, and then
sure. But Mike, if you're looking for somebody who wrote music as a 30-year-old girl, 30-year-old woman, and you're trying to relate to those lyrics, I mean, they're well-written lyrics. They just don't relate to you.
Well, no, I just don't. I think the lyrics are shallow, because I could go back to the Casey Musgraves album, who is probably roughly the same age, and lyrically it's much more deep than this. That's all.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Taylor Swift is not the Mariana Trench, I guess.
All right, sorry. I'm not trying to harass you.
I mean, no, I know.
But you're not. But you said it should be the album of the year, and the song with her with Bon Iver should be the song of the decade. Yeah, and that's a pretty big stretch.
Yeah,
I mean that's not a stretch, but that's
maybe there was some hyperbole declaring that the song of the decade.
Okay.
This is a decent contender for album of the year and a strong music year. And I ask you to come up with an album that you think is better that came out this year.
Well, okay, I don't know, because I don't know what albums came out this year. You know what I mean? I don't like that's not how I musically listen to things. In other words, I'm not like, I don't know. I find something that I like. I don't pay attention when it came out. I don't know.
No, yeah, right. We all stumble upon music at different times. Sure.
Right.
I concur with that. But if I'm saying album of the year and you're telling me it's not the album of the year, I would hope you would have another contender that you think is better.
Yeah, any album but this album.
Have a counterpoint, right?
Yeah, okay. Fair. That's 100% fair. I think Dinosaur Jr. is still going to be releasing an album before the end of the year, so that will be the one. So I don't have to.
Come on, dude.
What, my band from the 80s can't have the best album of the year? Well, I think
it legit could. It's going to be a good album, I'm sure.
All right. Well, so you know what? Really, the song that kind of set me off the wrong way is the last Great American Dynasty on that album.
Yeah, it sounds okay. What don't you like about it?
Just the whole story is stupid.
Kinda. I mean, it's not
look. Yeah. Rebecca rode up on the afternoon train. It was sunny. Her salt box house on the coast took her mind off St. Louis. Bill was the heir to the Standard Oil name and money. And the town said, how did a middle-class divorcee do it? I mean, come on. Who's going to relate to Bill, the heir of the Standard Oil dynasty?
She tried to tell a story.
You're right. Again, I'm sorry. I'm not dissing her at all, by the way. I have, her talent is beyond spectacular, obviously. So I was just responding to you, to your hyperbole of the album with my own hyperbole, I suppose.
Fair enough.
All right.
It's still a really good album.
Yes. So what else is going on with you?
I don't know, dude. I can't even keep track of days. Are
you looking forward to the elections being over?
Yeah, very much so.
Isn't it tiresome?
It's exhausting.
Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's just 24/7. I stopped watching TV. I can't watch anything now. Like, I can't watch any TV. Oh, have you watched Cobra Kai yet?
No, I should. Somebody at work has been harassing me for a while now because I don't watch it.
It's fire.
Yeah, and the sad thing is like I have that. It was on that YouTube Premium before, and I have that, so I could have watched the first 2 seasons were on YouTube.
2 seasons are out.
Yeah, and so I never even watched it. It was on YouTube, and I pay for that. So,
wow. So it's like very campy and very good at the same time.
If it would be anything else, that would be highly disappointing, right?
Yeah,
because I mean that just like those when those movies came out, they're campy and great at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty solid. It's very multi-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's every character has depth. There's no like good guy or bad guy. Everybody's everybody's an asshole for one thing and a great guy for the next.
Right. It's
crazy trying to put it all together. It's really a good show. I thought it was just going to be like cheese dick sitcom, but it's really not.
Like, what's his name? Danny. Is he a good guy or a bad guy in this one?
Yes.
Interesting.
There's not like a good guy or bad guy.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
There's not. Everybody's like both. Like Johnny Lawrence, the dude from Cobra Kai who starts up the dojo, is like a deep character.
Which I love.
His character is not particularly deep, but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not cut and dried before this show even starts.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever watched Dexter?
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that show. I'm not sure what I think about it.
Well, just take each season individually, and then we can talk about how some of them are horrible and some of them are astonishing.
Yeah.
The first season is some of the best TV ever.
Yeah, maybe that's what my struggle is, because my wife started watching it, and I caught most of them. When she gets on the show, she just watches it, and I was pretty enthralled with the first season. And then after that, it was like,
the second season's okay, and then it continues to fall off. I mean, it's just incredibly uneven.
Yeah,
there's like another good season, I think 7 maybe or 5, something like that.
You know what's really weird is he got married. The woman that plays his sister.
Yeah.
In the middle of filming
They
that
got
they got married and then divorced.
yeah.
Yeah. It is weird. Like, I haven't seen a new release movie in forever because of, there's no theaters
Yeah.
that are open anymore. So, and I'm not all that motivated to rent Bill and Ted's Next Adventure or whatever.
I heard it's good. I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I don't know if there's maybe a psychological edge to, or, like paying 20. I know if you took your wife to the movie, it'd be $20 for 2 tickets. But clicking that $20 to $25 to rent a movie is still sort of.
I can't grab it.
Like, it has to be like amazing. You have to know that it's going to be amazing to click that $20 to $25 fee. You know what I mean?
Dude, I would have a hard time. There's just too much that competes. Like, I can watch something else for free, or that I'm already paying for.
Right.
And my TV, like, I like my TV. I have a good TV, and I have a decent sound bar for sound, but it's not going to compare to going to the theater to watch a movie. Right. And on top of that, when you're at home, there's like other distractions. Right. Where when you're in the theater, it's shut down to the environment, so you can really become enthralled.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that distraction. Like, I get home from work, like, there's two nights of my job. I get home like at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So there's not, it's not like I'm home at 4 and I can get stuff done. So those are my just 2 chill out nights. And I'll do whatever I want. And I'll get home and I'll turn on YouTube on the TV. And before I know it, it'll be 4 hours later and I've watched like 30 different videos.
Yeah.
And that's, and the crazy thing is, it's not like, I find that equally as satisfying if I'd have sat down and watched a movie too.
Yeah.
Because there's so much good content out there right now.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, if I can't sleep, I used to put on a show on Netflix or whatever. I've started watching streamers play Call of Duty.
Oh, interesting.
And just because they're entertaining and you get to watch them do this thing, but there's no start and no finish. You can just jump in whenever.
Just jump on Twitch or whatever.
Yeah, I just do it on Facebook gaming.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing I haven't done. Like, I watch plenty of videos on YouTube of streamers that they edit their videos and stuff, but I haven't really gotten into just watching it live as it happens.
Yeah, it's interesting because they'll like get on with other streamers and they'll stream at the same time while they're playing, and it's just funny to hear them banter back and forth. Yeah,
you were talking to me earlier about speaking of gaming, and which I think I'm going to just get it right after we get off of here is Among Us, which seems to be that's the name of it, right? Among Us.
Yeah,
which seems to be a pretty hot game right now. What's that all about?
So
I've watched a couple videos. I've watched some videos of the game. But tell me why it's so appealing.
So there's a game called Werewolf that's like an old party game where you sit around a table with like a whole bunch of other people, and everybody gets a little piece of paper that has letters on it, and some of those letters are W's. There's like 2 of those for like every 10 people.
Right.
So if you get the W, then you're a werewolf.
Okay.
And so then there's one person who runs the game and that can rotate around the table. And so everybody puts their head down except the werewolves, and they point to who they want to murder that night. And then everybody puts their head up, and the person in charge says, "Billy and Tommy, the werewolves ate you last night." And then everybody votes on who they think the werewolf is.
Right.
And so if you vote out the werewolves before they kill everybody, you win. It's kind of like that. So you got a little guy, you're on a spaceship with like up to 10 other people, and there can be up to 3 imposters. And everybody has a list of tasks they have to do. So you have to like run around to different parts of the spaceship and do these tasks. And the imposters are trying to kill everybody. And so when somebody finds a dead body, or you can call an emergency vote, you can vote somebody off the spaceship, but you have to try to figure out who the imposters are.
Right.
And if you finish all the tasks before the imposters kill everybody, then you win. And if the imposters kill everybody or destroy the ship before
they figure it out,
then they win.
Right. And so part of the appeal is like arguing amongst yourselves and trying, if you're the imposter, trying to pin it on other people.
Yeah. So the one of the cool things about it is you can't talk unless you're in a meeting. And then, I mean, some people use Discord, I guess, but I think that's kind of lame. I think it's cooler when you can only talk in the chat when you're trying to vote to convince people, because it limits how much communication you have. So you have to really choose your words and how you're going to show people stuff. And like a lot of it can be done with body movement too. Like you can follow somebody around and they might get paranoid because you're following them. But if you can follow them for long enough and then not kill them in a situation where you could have, then they might believe you. They have like very specific language that everybody uses. So like there's just terms that you pick up along the way. And,
all right.
So everybody is sus, and that's short for suspect. So, or suspicious. So when you think it's somebody, you're like, red is sus, because you refer to everybody by the color of their guy, which is funny because sometimes people will name their guys like different colors, so that, to throw people off. Yeah, everybody's suspect, and then like usually you see everybody's trying to task out, hurry up and task. I was tasking to try to like get their task done so they can finish. And then venting. Only the imposters can use the air vents to move around. So they'll vent. So if you see somebody like in the chat, it'd be like, red is sus. I saw him vent. Right. Like everybody's like, oh, he vented. Okay.
Okay. So while we're recording this, you had to step out for a phone call real quick. So I downloaded it on my computer. So now give me some strategies.
Okay, so something I did the other day that I thought was brilliant that made everybody really mad. So I was an imposter, and they figured out that I was an imposter, so they voted me. So right before I got voted out, I wrote in the chat, it's me and Orange. Orange is the other imposter. It's me and Orange. And everybody got furious because I ruined the game. How could you tell us? We wanted to try to find him. This is bullshit. Except it wasn't really Orange. So they voted. So they all went back in and immediately voted Orange out, and then he wasn't the imposter. And they're like, "Ah!"
That's hilarious, actually.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Everybody's, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna find your house and burn it down. How could you ruin this? Is how terrible of you to just throw them on to tell us. Which would be a terrible thing if you actually did that, because sometimes people do that, and it's pretty toxic. But I use that against them by making them think that that's what I was doing when I was really just getting them to vote somebody else off.
That's right. Is it an audio chat in the game or video?
No, text chat.
Text chat.
So my recommendation to you is always do your tasks. Just task as quickly as you can.
Okay.
Try to look at the map and figure out how to make a circle around the map to go and make as few places as possible. And then watch for people who are scanning or doing the emptying the trash, because those particular tasks have visual components to them. So there's one where you shoot lasers. So like you shoot at asteroids. Right. So like those particular tasks, you have to like do something and your character actually does it if you're doing it. So you can't fake it. Right. So what the imposters will do is they'll stand by where a task is and just stand there for like 30 seconds to make it look like they're doing that task. And then they'll move. So if you can do those particular tasks, you can see somebody doing it so you know they're good or clean. So then you follow them, you stay with them. That way, if somebody kills either one of you, you'll see it happen. And you know that person's not going to kill you because they're clean. Oftentimes, that's a good way to get voted out if the other person doesn't realize that's what you're doing. Let's see, some other stuff. Don't self-report, because you would think that would be a good way for people to think, like, to throw people off, but everybody knows that everybody self-reports anyway, so it doesn't really work anymore. Don't ever vent, ever, because there's just no reason to vent. You can just walk away from the spot, and if somebody sees you walking away from the body, they're going to see you venting anyway, so it doesn't even make sense to do it. Use your sabotages as much as possible to try to keep everybody off balance. You can sabotage as a imposter by making them have a critical task that they have to accomplish in like 30 seconds or they lose. So it throws everybody off their tasks. And also it's a good way to lure people to certain places. And then you can also lock doors. So you can like lock somebody in a room. You don't want to do that if people know you and them are the only people in that room, but you can lock them in there. And then a lot of times in chat, that's really the good place. So if you're the imposter, you probably shouldn't say much. If you do, just try to agree with other people. And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll find somebody, if I'm an imposter, I'll find somebody who's doing one of those tasks where it's a visual task, and I won't kill them. And I'll just stand there with them and watch them do it, and then walk around with them so that they think I'm innocent because I'm with them for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And then the next time a vote comes up, you don't talk for yourself. You talk for somebody else. Say, oh, orange is clean. I saw him scanning. Yes. So I know that orange is good. And then orange will be like, yeah, blue's been with me for a long time. He's good too. And then, just kind of over time it plays out like that. The other thing to remember is everybody always thinks when you find a body, it's brand new, but that's not always the case.
All right.
So you can kill somebody and their body will just drop there. And then if you get away fast enough, somebody else is going to find it. And then immediately the first thing everybody said is what happened and who did it in the chat. It's like what and who. And so somebody will inevitably say, oh, it was in engineering, right? And so then they're like, oh, well, where was everybody at? And if the body's been there for it could sit there for 2 minutes before anybody's going to find it. So you could be all the way across the board by then. And you're like, oh, I was in weapons. So it's totally on the other side of the board.
And especially if someone sees you over there.
Right.
2 minutes later, even though they think the murder just happened.
Because there's no way that guy could have killed that person in that much time because they just reported it. But everybody forgets that and just assumes that bodies are all fresh.
Nice. Yeah, I love the current environment in gaming is so great because there's so many different things that come out. You know what I mean? And you don't know what's going to hit or whatever.
Yeah.
What have I been playing too? Hold on, move this over.
What's the game where it's like Wipeout or something?
Fall Guys.
Holy
shit, dude. That game is so much fun.
I haven't played it. I've watched it a little bit.
Yeah. You don't have a gaming PC. Well, I think you don't have a PS4, do you?
No.
I don't know if it's on PS3. It's on it's on PS4. But yeah, it really is like Wipeout, except you start with 100 people. And and what I like about it is it's just, I don't know. You don't have to be that great at games to either succeed or enjoy yourself, Mm-hmm. So, because it's just most of it's just pure insanity. And everything about it, visually, you're a little bean and you can change, the more you play or the farther you get, you are able to put different outfits. Yeah, you put on your different outfits and shit like that. Everything about it is great. And it's, people go, and so it's progressively the first round, only half of the people make it to the next round and on and on and on. So it's got that sort of Fortnite thing quality to it where, you're trying to be the last person to win. But I hate Fortnite because I'm suck at those kind of games. You know what I mean? Anything that's a first person shooter, I don't, or, that kind of genre, I'm just not that good at anyhow. And I don't enjoy them. Well, I take that back. If I were any good at them, I'd probably enjoy the hell out of them. Yeah. But I've just played them a lot. I'm just not good at them, so I don't play them that much anymore.
See, I like some of those games and I hate some of those games.
Yeah. See, I've never got to the point of even liking them because I just not ever been good enough to like them. You know what I mean?
I played SOCOM a lot.
Right.
Which is it's like an early version of Black Ops or whatever. You're there's 8. You're 8 guys against their 8 guys, and there's a base. You have to storm the base or whatever.
Right.
It was fun.
Yeah. So do you move, if you do any gaming now, you just do it on your phone?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a PS3. Sometimes I'll play. I think I'm playing GTA 5 right now or something. I forget. I'll just go to GameStop and buy the dumbest game they had. I'll be like, hey, do you have anything that's going to kill 60 hours of my time, 45 minutes at a time over the course of the next 3 years? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy that while you can. I don't know how long those things are going to last. Everything is heading so much digital.
GameStop?
Yeah.
Yours is gone now.
What's that? Yours is gone?
It's gone.
Well, there's some proof for positive for you right there.
Yep.
Yeah, even when we go out and buy, the only physical games I think we're buying anymore, in fact, we're doing it Saturday. It's something to do to get out of the house because you just got to find something to do. But last time we went to Toledo, and this weekend we're going to Lansing, and so we're gonna find there's 3 retro video game stores in Lansing. So we're going to go to Lansing. We'll go to all three. And then we just try to build up our old school collection, because I've got every PlayStation console. I've got every Nintendo console except for the SNES. So
you don't have an SNES?
No, we have the SNES, the mini one that came out.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have the original one. So I don't know. And you know what I do on it? We don't have a Sega. I mean, that might be the next area we move into.
Sega Genesis?
Yeah. I love that. Huh?
You could probably buy one of those for $25.
Yeah, $25 to $40. I don't see them as often. We go to retro video game stores a lot, and so, yes, yeah. Of course, I'm sure you're like me. Like way back in the day, frickin' Sega Genesis, man.
Yeah.
NHL hockey. That's all we ever played.
Yeah. 95.
What's that?
NHL 95.
NHL 5. Hell yeah.
It's the one where you could check people into the boards and make them bleed.
Right. And was that the one that had Yzerman and Fedorov on the same team? Yeah. And Fedorov was insane.
Yeah. You used to be able to do the goalie trick where you could pull the goalie over to one side and the defender would get in your way and you could spin around the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Score goals a game and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where, you cut your teeth on trash talking people. I never played sports. So once fucking that game came along, that was it, man. Back in the day.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, you know what, Rob? I'm glad we're back doing this.
Me too. I'm excited.
I've missed it a lot. So.
Cool.
You got anything
You're
else?
wrong about Taylor Swift, though.
What's that?
You're wrong about Taylor Swift.
I'm wrong about Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so. You know what? I did give it a try, though. You asked me you asked me to check it out. And the first time I tried, I really tried. I don't know. I don't think I could try again.
I listen to it all the time. Heavy rotation.
Heavy rotation?
Heavy rotation. That and a dude called Dermot Kennedy.
Dermot Kennedy.
Yeah.
I've been listening to this band called Slave lately, which is not a great name, but I'm really digging their stuff too.
Terrible.
It's a terrible. Or is it called Slaves? I think. Well, not one is not better than the other. Slave or Slaves.
Very tone deaf.
Huh? It is
Very tone deaf.
I know. I don't. I'm just looking it up. How long have they been around? Anyway, yeah, it's a tone deaf name. So what can you do? So, but it's amazing how fast things become tone deaf. Cole and I watched the original Spider-Man, like a month ago. With the original Spider who made it? Rami, what's his name? Anyway, Sam Raimi. Yeah, but that doesn't age well either. It's surprisingly ages really bad.
Yeah,
because I remember, oh man, these are the pinnacle. Finally, they've started making great superhero movies.
Yeah.
And then you go back and watch it, like, ew, I don't know if I want to watch that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
It's weird how, society always moves forward and changes. Yep. Sometimes for good, sometimes for bad.
Sometimes both. Yeah.
I know I posted something on Facebook this week about cancel culture. And
with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, so it's
what's the story behind that?
It's just he moved to Spotify, right, or not? So
I believe you.
What's that?
I believe you.
Right. So the Joe Rogan podcast is the podcast right now, and he gets insane numbers, a huge audience, and it's built on the idea really that there's no censorship or no holding back. He has on a variety of guests who have the space to say whatever they are comfortable with saying. And they're just really good conversations. And so he recently moved from being independent to Spotify and got like $150 million deal to move to Spotify.
Nice.
And it's a good deal for both of them. Obviously, it's a lot of money, and it's good for Spotify because
Sure.
his numbers are insane, right? And so, some people that work for Spotify wanted to censor some of his podcasts or put trigger warnings on the podcast or delete some of the podcasts altogether. So that's kind of what my post was about. Was that
My battery's about to die.
are you? So, well, anyway, it's
So they're censoring him because they want.
Well, there's people at Spotify want to censor him because of some of the
They don't
content.
want Alex Jones or whoever. Yeah.
It's not even Alex Jones. There was a lot of it is. I watched this episode as well. He had an episode on with a woman who wrote a book about transgender and people that transition when they're really young, like middle school, 12, 13, or 14. And then,
to be honest with you,
what's that?
It's too young.
Right. So that was the conversation about. It was really a conversation about that. And when you get to sometimes you get subjects like that, people don't see the forest for the trees. It's okay to talk about that kind of thing, whatever side you land on. And just the fact that they had the conversation was what these people were protesting, which is ridiculous, right? So,
I've seen that they should.
But
why would they? It's really dumb. Okay.
Right. But also, so two things happen. One, that's really dumb. And it sort of, if you lean on the left or liberal side of things, it's, another step away from some of the ideals that I believe in as a liberal, which is why, the ACLU defends the right for Nazis to march and protest because even speech that we hate is important so that we can have the same rights, right? But on the other side, what's that?
So Spotify isn't freedom of speech on Spotify.
Well, no, but that's the core principle, right? But these companies do have a responsibility. Like they do drive. Like if you're a media company, millions of you play a role in shaping society because of the content that you do or don't approve. So There's a huge responsibility there. The other thing is, because I've had some of this experience in my own workplace recently, is that the number of people doing things is much smaller than what you would imagine. You know what I mean? Like, because there's 30 or 40 Spotify employees of the, 5,000 to 6,000 that work for the company doing this does not mean that the entire left culture is trying to cancel Joe Rogan, because quite frankly, a ton of people on the left and right listen to Joe Rogan, right? So it's this balance of cancel culture is stupid, and I think cancel culture is problematic. And the left needs to stand up against it, but also on the other side, it is not nearly as prevalent or powerful as people make it out to be.
So it's not prevalent, but it is definitely powerful.
Well, it depends on this. Sometimes it's situational, like the Spotify CEO told them all basically to fuck off.
Good.
Honestly. Well, he's just like, no, and I'm sure if you surveyed most of the people that work for him, they're like, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's just, I don't agree with them, and you'll have people on like Ben Shapiro that I can't stand. I think that guy's an asshat. Other people might love him, but if it gets somebody like that, I just don't watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's people on there all the time that say shit that I don't agree with, but it doesn't, I'm not like a mindless drone. What's that?
Being accepting of the dialogue is what's crucial. That's why I like Rogan, because even if I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, his ability to listen to everybody and hear out their point of view is incredible.
Yes.
He's patient and inquisitive and strong-willed at the same time as being open. I think that's huge. That's how you move things forward. I think that's why he's so popular.
And when he has other comedians on, it's funny as hell too.
Hilarious.
Exactly. So it's kind of hard to beat that. I've also met some people that hang on every word he says and what he says. And he says that what he says is gospel. And he says it like every third podcast. Don't listen to me. I'm just an idiot trying to figure shit out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but there are some people that find that People are like that everywhere, you know?
Well, yeah, to be honest with you, Mike, anybody who's going to take everything Joe Rogan says as gospel, I would rather that they take everything Joe Rogan says as gospel. Because one, if they think that, I don't want them doing any other thinking for themselves. And two, I'd rather have them listening to Joe Rogan than, I don't know, anyone like Adam Jones or whatever his name is.
Oh, Alex Jones, yeah.
Alex Jones, yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to obsess over taking somebody's word as gospel, I'd rather it be Joe Rogan than some of those other dudes.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the battle of our age, right? Now, the same thing with Facebook. Like we're so quick to see something that we want to believe and then believe it.
Right.
And that's the thing that's kind of killing our society right now, is that people aren't taking the time to build the skill up to be critical, because it's so easy to, if you see something you want to be true, and you see it, you want to believe it, you know?
Yep.
So, but what can you do other than turn off the fucking TV and put Facebook down, right?
Yeah. True stories.
All right, man. I'm so happy we're back podcasting.
Me too. It's good to see you.
Yep. I'll see you next week, my friend.
All right.
All right, man. Bye.
Bye.